Hey guys, this is Bryant Jen, and today I wanted to talk about the characters of Mad Max. Now I could talk about how awesome this film looks, how well framed and well shot the landscapes are, how tightly edited the action scenes are, how all of the amazing stunts are actually practical effects, how creative the designs are for the cars and characters. But I think this film's success doesn't rest just on the visuals. The reason the action actually matters is because of the well-written characters that give meaning to the mayhem we see on screen. While I'm talking, please enjoy some amazing behind-the-scene footage of Mad Max Fury Road, brought to you by Joe Blow Movie Trailers. And note, this video will contain spoilers, so proceed with caution. First, I'll talk about the big three: Mad Max, Imperator Furiosa, and Morden Joe. Then I'll talk about the wives, who are actually one of the most multi-layered characters in the film. And finally, we will end with Knucks. We'll look at Max and Furiosa first, because while they are a lot of fun to watch, they actually aren't the most dynamic characters. Mad Max is a jaded and shell of a man in the beginning, who's haunted, quite literally, by his past. He tells the audience that the one instinct he follows is that of survival. And remember those words, because it's key. After he meets Furiosa and her crew, he slowly softens and reveals the humanity he's compressed. That's his character arc. It's simple and sweet. Imperator Furiosa is arguably the hero of this film. She also has a cool backstory where she's had to do some bad things, so she thinks in saving the wives, this one good thing will give her some redemption. Her character changes even less than Max, as her goals are consistent from beginning to end. But just because she doesn't go through a transformation, she's still a great character with a really interesting past. Morden Joe is the bad guy of the film, physically grotesque and evil looking. His motivations are more complex than both Max and Furiosa, because while he does bad things, when you see the kind of world they live in, his behavior almost makes sense. Even though to the masses, he's not as kind or giving as they want him to be, he has still managed to carve a semblance of society in the wasteland. More importantly, his motivation for tracking these girls down is to save his son, and because he cares deeply about the baby and his wife, the stakes of that chase scene with his pregnant wife are so high. Both parties, Morden Joe and Furiosa, have something of tremendous value that they are trying to protect, and that's how you construct a suspenseful and fun action scene that actually matters. These three main characters are actually very well fleshed out, but there are just so many interesting characters in this film. Moving on to the wives, who are a refreshing breath of fresh air in the female character realm. When we are introduced to them, one of them is literally cutting off the chastity belt, priming the audience for a damsel in distress that isn't going to just be a damsel in distress. I'm going to name all of them, and in case you didn't know their names, you can try to figure out who's who. The wives are Splendid Angerod, Capable, Toast the Knowing, The Dag, and Cheeto the Fragile. While these names are pretty exotic, I'm sure you recognize at least one or two of the characters just based on their names. Splendid Angerod is the pregnant one, who's carrying Morden Joe's child. She's kind of the leader of the group and is resolute in her desire to get away. In one of my favorite scenes of the film, she grabs onto a door and swings it across the car, protecting the other girls with her pregnant body. This is such an empowering image for this pregnant lady, this pregnant leader. Capable is the redhead who's the heart of the group. She's the one who comforts another wife, Cheeto, when she's scared or wants to give up. Capable is also the one that convinces the group to spare Knucks when they capture him. We'll come back to Knucks later because he has a more elaborate character arc. Toast the Knowing, played by Zoe Kravitz, is the most bitter. Her role is often looking into the distance and saying something ominous about what's to come. She's the harbinger that can see what's going to happen even when others cannot. She's also the one that reminds them of why they escaped. The Dag is very distinct looking with her bright blonde hair and doesn't say much. She is quiet and cool and adds another layer of diversity to the group. Throughout the film, she's very capable, and don't get that confused with the other character, Capable. The Dag holds her own. She rarely loses her cool and adds her own distinct personality to the troupe. Ultimately, she helps round out a group of girls who are all very beautiful and share common traits, yet they all have a distinct voice. Finally, we have Cheeto the Fragile. Her name makes her personality kind of obvious. She is not the strongest and tries to escape multiple times, but in the end, after everything that happens, there's that scene where she pretends to want to go back for the nth time, but she uses this deception to give her team the opening they need to take Joe's team down. In a lesser movie, these gorgeous damsels in distress would just stick to being in distress. These characters have their own personalities, but it's also these unique traits that help them along their journey. This level of character development would be good enough for most main protagonists in most films. The fact that these are side characters makes it all the more impressive. Finally, we have Knucks, who's the character with the most growth. He starts off the film as this mindless road warrior that fights for a Morden Joe at all costs. When he cannot accomplish his mission, Capable shows him some compassion and he changes sides and begins helping them. To some viewers, his change of heart might seem abrupt, but I have a slightly jaded view on this change that I think makes the most sense. When he fails to kill Furiosa in full view of a Morden Joe, he realizes that he will never be forgiven and cannot return home. This is the main reason why he decides to follow Furiosa and her crew. Like Max reminds us again and again, this world is about survival. Capable's compassion is just a vessel for Knucks to be accepted into their group. Even Knucks, who might actually be the heart of this film, is not above that, and he latches onto the group that can ensure his survival. At the very end, when he sacrifices his life for the good of the team, he's come full circle. Just like he was willing to die for Joe, he is now willing to die for his new clan, because as humans, our instinct to ensure the family or clan's survival is sometimes indistinguishable from our own. I like this more realistic take on his transformation, because that also doesn't take away from his humanity. There it is, my quick overview of the characters of Mad Max, why they are freaking awesome, why they matter, and why this movie is awesome. If you haven't seen it, as great as the characters are, this is a movie for the senses. Some shots are so beautiful, I can make a whole video of me just fawning over them. This movie is a visual feast, please go indulge. What were your favorite characters in Mad Max? Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.